Well, friends, it's about that time again. It's hashtag Real Race Talk. We are back on another Monday. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. It is the Revved Up Livecast. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, all of you guys diving in for another night of fun. Another night of great conversation, great guests that we have lined up for you that we're going to be talking to tonight. We're going to talk to Nathan Titzman. He's coming up here in about 15 minutes. Flyin Ryan Colby is going to join us. That's a dude from up in Mississippi. We'll get you enlightened with him. And then Corpus, Texana Raceway Park. We'll dive in and we'll talk with him about all of the happenings happening there at Texana Raceway Park. Bobby, whatever will we talk about today, my friend? I don't know. I mean, ASA Southern Super Series. I mean, we talk about Berlin, all these great things, but I guarantee you people want to talk about NASCAR. How about that shit?
It's amazing, right? It may take something monumental to make people want to talk about NASCAR, and it's amazing all the people that said they don't watch it anymore sure did have an opinion on that finish.
Yeah, you know, nobody could find the qualifying, and I knew that was going to be something that was. By the way, I enjoyed the Olympics very much. I always enjoy the Olympics. It's a really cool thing. I think that when you get to see some of the sports that you don't often, you know, gymnastics and swimming and all that, I don't really go out of my way to watch those, you know. And when they get on a big scale like that, you know, it's a really cool thing to be able to check that stuff out. And I enjoyed the Olympics, but it's time to go racing. And hell, what a way to start! What a way to start!
Well, I mean, I think that you have to have different visions of the Olympics. Like, there's still times like breakdancing. I forgot that was an Olympic sport. You're going to have breakdancing.
Breaking.
Oh, it's not breakdancing. It's breaking.
No dancing. Breaking.
Oh, breaking. And then apparently they don't have boxing scheduled for the 2028 LA games. So I don't know, dude. The Olympics are what they are. You know, I don't usually watch the track and field stuff, but I mean, you know, it's or the swimming or pretty much anything. So that's I mean, the only thing I got to see was the highlights, and the biggest highlight I saw was the low light from the pole vaulter. So
yeah. Well, you will get some flag football. You get baseball and softball that'll be coming back in 2028. So I think those will be pretty cool. But yeah, that breaking stuff, it was like, I mean, some of the people that were doing that, I mean, there was this one lady, and I'm like, God dang, how hard is this to be able to do? I mean, I'd hate to see the people that didn't qualify, you know, with
yeah.
but I mean, whatever, you know, what a sport is and what a sport is not, I think is a very, you know, whatever, but they're done and we'll wait. And the Winter Olympics are coming up. But I think the topic of conversation tonight, we're going to be, I know we have guests lined up and we're going to be diving in back and forth. But I think as the show goes on, we're going to continue to be touching on this NASCAR thing with what we saw last night and where is the line drawn and what should happen. And look, I mean, bottom line, in my opinion, I mean, Logano, I'm not a fan of Logano. I'm not a fan of Austin Dillon. I like Denny Hamlin in the sense that he's really, really good for the sport with the other things that he does. But Joey Logano called it what it was. That was a chicken shit two moves that he did, I think.
Well, there's a difference between a bump and run. We've all seen bump and runs done successfully. That wasn't even a bump and run. That was just a head up dump. Like, that's all that was. There wasn't even a bump and run to that. And then the other one was just a purposeful side swipe left to, you know, knock out your Tinder date there on the left-hand side. Because, I mean, I told the wife, I said, you know, I said, here's what's going to happen. I'm like, they're going to go in. And I said, the 3's going to come in and wipe out the 22, and the 11's going to get underneath both of them and steal this thing.
Yeah.
As soon as they got together, I was like, watch the 11. And then there goes the 11 up in the fence. So I don't see any way that NASCAR lets him keep this win. I think it's going to become an encumbered win where the win will count, but it won't count towards the playoffs. There's no way that NASCAR lets this win stand to get in the playoffs.
I'm going to say this now, and we can debate it throughout the show. The running over Logano part, whatever. I mean, I totally get that you have to do what you have to do. I mean, I get that part. and you do what you do right there. But NASCAR set a precedent in the past where you cannot hook a guy. You cannot hook a guy in the fence. And that's what he did. I mean, that's exactly what he did. He hooked Denny Hamlin, stuck him in the fence. Denny Hamlin kept on going, wound up second, whatever the case is. So, I mean, that's going to be when it comes down to, and NASCAR's in a really, really bad situation right now because they have to do something. You have to do something. You cannot let this just pass. This whole rubbing is racing bullshit. And that's where, I mean, all day it's been folks that I've been talking to that are not really racing. That phrase drives me up the fucking wall. I hate that. Rubbing racing. No, man. I mean,
Days of Thunder ruined that.
Yeah. And you go back and you look at this and you have the comparisons with the Earnhardt stuff and all the different stuff. And look, man, I think I've been pretty obvious. I wasn't a fan of Dale Earnhardt. I mean, I respect a lot of what he did, and man, he was great for the sport. But something needs to go down right here because here's where NASCAR is going to fall on their face if they don't. Denny Hamlin said it best. Two different things Denny said, and we'll talk about this throughout the show. Number one, short track drivers see this and think it's okay, even though they don't watch NASCAR. And it's very obvious with what we see at short tracks every freaking week. You see this same shit. Number two, NASCAR, you want to be a legit sports league, which that's what NASCAR is. You're a legit sports league. You got to do something. The NFL would do something. Major League Baseball banned a guy today from the Boston Red Sox for calling somebody a homosexual slur from the outfield. You want to be legit, you got to act. You got to act.
And I think waiting till Tuesday is too long. I think that's just waiting too long. I don't think they needed to necessarily do something that night because they want to look at the SMT data. And I mean, from everything that we've seen today and heard today with the in-car radios and all of that, I mean, they kept saying, go low, take him out, go low, take him out, go deep, take him out. NASCAR, the writing's on the wall for this 3-car, dude. Like, there's no way around it. Like, this is a big deal that's probably going to end up hurting a lot of people.
It is. And, you know, the whole thing with Pop, sorry, buddy. I mean, I know you're a staple. I know that people think that you're, and he is. I mean, he's a pioneer or legacy, whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry, Pop, but, I mean, you got a dude that's 32nd in points that's out here doing this and you get into the playoffs that way. I mean, look at the history. I mean, he wrecked Eric Almirola and won that race, and that dude had a broken back or whatever he had going on. This is and Dink. No, you don't do whatever it takes to win. Depending on the situation, that is very much the case. But that's the problem, and I ain't picking on you, Dink. That's just the mindset that short track racing has pulled from NASCAR. And it's these guys that are doing this stupid shit. And that was embarrassing last night to watch.
But NASCAR's already promoting it though. Like they're gonna like Mike says, they're gonna be promoting it on videos and highlight packages and all of that forever now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they have. And it's been, I mean, look at it right now. You've got mainstream stuff talking, mainstream sports people talking about this that aren't racing related shows like we are. It's been a good conversation throughout the day. And I've had folks that have reached out to me and it's like, what's your opinion? And I've given it, and not that our opinion counts for anything, but it's just, and we say it so many different times this is how we race right now. And this is going to be all imperative on NASCAR, but this is how we race everywhere. And with this whole thing about, man, I know that this was not racing related, but I mean, it's Southern. You had a man that passed away on the racetrack, whether it was a medical emergency or whatever. We had that, and he was into a catch fence right down the road at Cotton Bowl Speedway. They had to cancel their races that night because he had a dude in the catch fence. This is man, these are really serious things when you start doing this stuff.
Well, and Dylan's ended up in the catch fence on the wrong end of it a couple of times too.
Well, yeah, he has, but that's just the nature of that package when you get into the super speedways. And I'm going to keep bringing Dink in right here because he's giving us the good stuff. Super speedways. that seriously, that I mean, think about that yesterday. Had Denny Hamlin, and this is Denny Hamlin, who's what all has Denny had wrong with him? He's broken a lot of different things. He's had back problems. I mean, that you can't hook a guy, and that's more the one that I have the problem with, because that precedent has been set. And if they don't respond, if they don't, I mean, if they're going to take points, and the whole thing is let him keep the win. Let him keep the win. He can be the, what was that called? The Cookout 400. He can be the champion of the Cookout 400, but he needs to sit a week out. And you know what happens when he sits a week out? He's out of the playoffs because he misses a race.
Yeah, they give him a waiver. They gave Chase Elliott a waiver after hooking Denny Hamlin.
Well, that's the other part of it. That's the other part of it. And that's where this has gotten so much to be a joke, to where it's like, yeah, we're going to put him out, but yeah, we're going to let him back in. Because that was a situation that was, I don't know what they'll come up with, but I don't know. I'm just curious to see what happens. And I saw Elton Sawyer talking. They're going to go back and review.
He was already, this bad when they send them out early.
Yeah. Go back and review. I mean, the SMT data is out. And again, you and I aren't analysts that are going to be able to analyze that. I mean, I think it's pretty freaking obvious what was going on. I was actually privy this morning to all of that spotter data. I think what's going to happen right here, it's going to be like all these different things where we see the spotter is going to be the one that they throw him out. It's like, you can't come back for the rest of the year because you told him to do that.
Well, another part too, Logano's going to get fined for doing the little mini burnout in front of the pit crew on pit road.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure
that'll piss a lot of people off.
I'm sure. And you know, Denny was some of the conversation. I mean, both of those guys, Denny and Joey, were both kind of letting them fly after the races. Which this goes back to the whole other part about, you think these guys don't have personalities? Will piss them off like that. They become pretty emotional.
But they both said that there's a difference between a bump and run and what Logano or what Dylan did to Logano. They both said you can't just drive in 5 cars over your head, do a bump and dump. But, a bump and run is an art. It's an art form, right? You see different racers be able to do it immaculately. You see it on every surface. The bump and run is a unique move that is different than what we saw on Sunday night. That was not a racing move. That was just a purebred bonehead move, in my opinion. So that's how you ended up having with that. But yeah, it was not a bump and run. They both said that they would do a bump and run in that instance. But they didn't like what happened, because I don't think it was a bump and run either.
Yeah. Colin, let's see if you guys do that at the King of the Hill. Let's see if that race doesn't end up like that.
Didn't Boot Hill end up doing a race that says you get $1,000 extra if you take out the first place guy on the last lap with a bump and run?
Promote it and they shall come. Promote it and they shall come. All right, let's go diving in as we have a loaded guest list tonight. And we are going dirt right now, as a matter of fact. We're going to welcome in a big winner this past weekend at the South Texas Race Ranch. I believe we have him audio only this evening. It is our man, Mr. Nathan Titzman. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are y'all doing?
Man, we're just sitting over here moaning and groaning about all that stuff yesterday. Did you happen to see any of that? You're probably working on your car. You probably weren't even paying attention to that, were you?
Yeah, no, sir. I didn't see any of that, but I heard about it.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. So let's talk about Saturday night. I missed you guys out there at the race ranch, but let's talk about Saturday night in the limited modifieds there at South Texas Race Ranch.
I just started the night out kind of bad. I had starter issues, missed hot laps. Haven't ran my car in a while, and I missed hot laps because of that. And then the heat race, I was just so tight that I couldn't even keep it down in the moisture where I needed to be. And then that put me, I fell back to like 4th in that deal. That put me starting 8th in the A main, and I was watching the track, and it was getting pretty dry, and they did a tire roll where you could run these asphalt pull-offs, and the track was getting to a drier state where it was like that deal could help me if I did it. So I went and asked my brother if he had any extra tires in the pits that I could use, and I took some off of his spare wheels and mounted them on mine and grooved and siped them and put him on the car and went out there and won the deal from 8th.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
So Nathan, was that your idea or Grandpa's idea to switch some wheels and tires like that?
It was my idea, but I'm sure my grandpa would have told me the same thing.
So Nathan, let's talk about that. I mean, obviously a different last name right there with you, to what Bobby's referring to right there. It's always really cool when we get you guys and ladies on with the storied history. Give us the family tree of everything. Of course, he's talking there about Lawrence Miklicek. Kind of give us the whole family tree of everyone in y'all's group right there.
Well, from what I know is my great grandfather James Miklicek. He started out racing on the asphalt, and I'm not sure if he did much dirt racing, but they did a bunch of dirt bikes and stuff like that too. And then I remember my grandpa telling me that his dad James told him not to waste his time on race cars, and I think he built one over the weekend one time when his dad went out of town, and his career took off from there, and it's kind of just been in the family since.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's great. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So talk about the competition level down at the race ranch. And you've raced a couple of different places. You've gone to Texana. You've gone to Cotton Bowl a few times. So talk about the different competition levels that you face. Obviously, you know, there's a different, you got your heavy hitters, hometown favorites when you go to certain tracks, rather. So talk about the competition level you've been facing. Obviously, to come back from 8th to the lead and take the W there at the race ranch is pretty special. We'll talk about that overall competition level there in the limited modifieds.
Man, it's it's gonna be hard when you got Marcus Miklicek, Tanner Whitmire, JJ Jennings, Brian Rye. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there that are gonna be hard to outrun, and it's hard to compete with them, and they're gonna race you as hard as they can the whole race, and it's never easy.
Yeah. Isn't that the thing about the race ranch? I know a lot of times, I mean, with limited modifieds and so forth, that it may be 12 cars, it may be 10 cars or whatever, man. But it's, man, calling those races with you guys, it's always top notch. I mean, there is, I mean, from front to back, it is just big hitters out there with you guys in the Double J Jerky Limited Modifieds.
Yes, sir. It's definitely it's not as easy as most people say. I mean, there's those guys have been doing it for a while, and they are no slouches at all.
Absolutely.
It's just I like Cotton Bowl. I like going over to Cotton Bowl. That's a nice track. I wish the car count at Texana would pick up some because they've put some work and money into that facility, and it's come a long ways. I like going to 37 because I like just sometimes the track will get this like slickness in it, and there will be moisture spots everywhere where you can run around there and find stuff. But I mean, I know we're planning on going to some out of town races this at the end of the year, and I just haven't raced as much this year as I did last year because I've been busy with work and school.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt.
Yes, sir.
So Nathan, tell us about your car, man. What kind of chassis you running, and tell us about the aspects of your race car there for those that don't know.
Well, it's a limited modified. It was built by John Howe and my grandpa at BMF Chassis, and they built their first dirt car. That was the first one that they built, and they built two more, and that one had been around for a while,
Mhm.
and my dad had put it together a while back, and he ran it 2 or 3 times, and then it was just sitting. And one day, my dad and my grandpa told me if I got it ready, that I could go race it. So I mean, when I got a hold of that deal, it was like the E mods were fun, but when I got in that deal, it was a whole different. You had a lot more power, a lot more tire. It was just everything was a lot funner.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk about that part because I know Parker's over in the E mods, and man, talk about the race ranch. I mean, the race ranch, they bring in the E mods. That's a really strong class right there. Kind of talk about that difference right there. I think a lot of people don't understand. I know down south we have junior limiteds and so forth. Kind of talk about the generic differences between the E mod and then once you graduate to a limited modified.
Well, that E mod deal is like an economy class. It's supposed to be uh, cheaper, and you're on a cheaper tire, and you're not on as expensive a motor, and you're not turning as much RPM. And they weren't doing rebuildable shocks, but they opened that deal up this year. And there's I think they're a little bit less on weight, and there's quite a few little differences and stuff in there, like body rules and stuff like that. but most people use it as like a beginner class to the sport mods, and it's been booming. And Parker's been doing really good. He's ran he's ran quite a few races this year, and he's won quite a few.
Absolutely.
So Nathan, tell us about what you got planned for the future here. Are you set going to run in the limited modifieds for a while, or you got ambitions like your uncle to run some late model racing and some big modifieds? What's up for the next couple? If you had to look, 12, 16 months in the future, what's in store for that?
I'm definitely going to be keeping my limited modified to run because they're just fun and they're local here. But I really am looking forward to running some modified stuff. I just don't have the money to put everything together right now on it. But I mean, later on down the road, if something happened and I was able to get into a late model, I for sure would.
Yeah. So Nathan, you kind of mentioned right there with the end of the year right here. I know that we've got a few races left there at the ranch, and then kind of around here. So some of the bigger stuff that you're talking about with the traveling stuff. Anything in particular in mind right there that you guys are trying to lay out, and also tell people how to get a hold of you, because money drives everything, and I know that anything that you can put in the racing budget will definitely help.
Yes, sir. They can contact me on my racing page, Nathan Titzman Racing on Facebook. But we definitely plan on going. I know the rest of this year we're going to Cotton Bowl for their big race, the one here in Corpus, the I-37, the DTK Memorial, and I think Texana's still having their clash race. I'm definitely going to go to that, support them. And I know me and my dad were talking today. We're planning on going to Abilene Speedway. Want to go run? We ran up there once, and the first night went pretty bad, and then the second night it was I started like 15th or 16th, I think, and I ended up fourth in the main on it. It was a rubbered up lockdown on the bottom, but I know we're going to Kennedale, the Super Nats. We're gonna go do that deal, and then hopefully we'll get some money put together and try to get a modified done and go race some modified stuff next year and see what goes from there.
That's awesome.
So Nathan, what kind of track do you prefer, man? Obviously, you got all these different tracks that you're talking about running at and running good at. Do you like the hammer down ones? Do you like, you mentioned I-37 kind of slicking off there? Is there a certain type of track condition that suits you better, that's more conducive for you to have a better run?
I don't know if it would be if you could say I run better on them, but I certainly love the slick tracks a lot more. Um, I like those tracks. They tend to have they're either gonna have some moisture spots in them and random spots, or like at South Texas last weekend, it was pretty dry all the way around the track. And then at the end of that race, I tried a different line and I found something where I could drive off into the middle of the corner and slide up into the rubber coming off the corner on the top. And it was just, I mean, it was like from there, it was a game changer for the rest of the night. But I mean, I like tracks like that where you could drive around on them and find stuff and make passes and just find something to outrun everybody else with.
Nathan, talk about that part, because I mean, and you're a very young, accomplished already, limited modified racer. Talk about that part, because we get guys on here a lot of times and they start talking about reading the track and when it's rubbering up and if it's rutted, like Bobby mentioned about hammer down and all that. How hard is it for you? I mean, it's not the clearest vision with you guys out on the track. How hard is it to be able to read the racetrack, because it's always changing? I mean, every lap, the damn corner can change from the time that you were there before. Kind of talk about that part, man. That is such a skill that you guys have.
Yeah, that'll help you a lot if you can learn how to read a track. I mean, there's so many little different things you can learn off of a track. I mean, I-37's, I feel like that track, every time I go there, it's got something in it. Like there's going to be moisture where you can get on the gas and go, and then there's going to be slick coming out of the corner where you got to not spin the tires and keep it straight. I mean, there's just so many different variances of track conditions that'll be in one track at one time, and that's what's fun to me about racing, is going out there and trying to find something on the track that nobody else has touched yet, and try to get going around there on it.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool.
That's crazy to see a young dude know that about a racetrack. It usually,
man.
Take some of these old guys forever, and they still don't know how to read a racetrack, regardless of what class they're in. They just run around and be like, "It's the car. It's not me. It's the car, not me."
It definitely helps to go out to on the track before the races and walk around there with like my uncle and I mean just all my buddies and stuff going out there and walking around the track. So you get a pretty good idea from that during intermission is when I normally go out there and walk around. I get a pretty good idea from that, so that'll tell me what I need to do for setup in the pits, and then just go out there and feel for it.
Yep. Nathan, lastly, talk about, I mean, because the Corpus Christi, I mean, it's just such a good atmosphere there. Like you mentioned, I mean, you're in that racing family right there of all the great families. And when you go to the race ranch, I mean, whether you went to CC Speedway back in the days or whatever you may have done, you hear all these names. I mean, when we're talking about Brian Rye and all the different people, it's still very much just a family affair out there with you guys that are third, fourth, fifth generations that get out there and race, man. That's got to be really cool for you guys to be able to still get out there and do that in the stomping grounds of your legendary family members.
Yes, sir. It definitely is cool to go out there and everybody. I've always had a pretty good attitude out there at the racetrack, and I like going out there and talking to everybody and having a good time. I'm not there to win every race. I'm gonna try my best to win it, but if I run second or third, I'm still fine with that as long as I could load the car on the trailer at the end of the night and have a good time with my friends out there and family. That's all I'm going for.
Man, that's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Congratulations on the win, my brother. Keep doing what you're doing, and man, go get some of those big money paychecks at the end of the season, buddy.
Yes, sir. We're gonna try. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
You bet. There he goes. Bobby, we were just having a conversation before Nathan was on about how the young racers can be so impressionable. That dude seems to be pretty grounded. I like that.
Grandpa ain't gonna let him get real big headed. That's for sure.
That's a big part of that. That is a very big part of that. When you have that right there, I mean, think about that. I mean, how great.
I mean, he taught. I mean, Lawrence taught you how to race a dirt car along with Howard Willis. Think what he does with his own grandson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those guys helped me out and then came and made me look bad. But yeah, I mean that's one of those things. I mean, can you imagine that if you're out there driving, get out of the car and it's like, okay, I'm not really sure. Let me go ask Lawrence Miklicek what to do. God damn, that's one of the. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to drop that GD, but that's man, that's really cool, and that's where the sport is so great. As much as I was complaining about this sport just minutes ago, and thank you, Nathan, for jumping on. That there is the premise of why we love it so much with those relationships and just how it continues to, kind of fall down to family members.
And then don't forget, Nathan is a proud part of the ODS on-demand shirts racing family. He's got some really good-looking shirts that our friends over at On-Demand Shirts made for him. So his uncle Marcus, one of the original on-demand shirt drivers. So lots of good merchandise over there that they've got all over. Check out the store. Check him out when you go to the racetrack near you. Not only is he a good kid with a good bright future ahead of him, he's got some really good-looking T-shirts that you'll say that you picked him up first before he got real famous.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And that is one of the things. If you go to the race ranch, you can go on a Saturday night and they've got all that apparel there. I mean, they've got obviously the ODS race ranch stuff, but they've got all the different driver stuff. I mean, I was looking at something that ODS posted today, and it was like all the different drivers, and a lot of them are right there at the race ranch, and really cool stuff. Of course, ODS is the official apparel provider of Bobby and I, so they make us look good at the racetrack. Although I do want to say, man, I got to give me something. I think we wear black for slimming. I think a lot of us. This is something that all racers do. You ever notice we all dress in black?
I guess you don't see the sweat near as much when you dress in black.
Well, Bobby, I'll tell you what.
When it dries, yeah, then you're in trouble. But
the last time we were in Houston, and I may have had heat exhaustion as hot as it was out there. I looked down at one point, and I was like down here to the top of my belly of just sweat, and it was showing on a black shirt. So yeah. So somebody was telling me, it's like, get some gray stuff. And I'm like, gray? Are you kidding? You want to wear gray when you're sweating? No. You want to talk about sweat rings? That'll really show on that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, on-demand shirts, great stuff right there. Good call by you, Bobby. They really do. They take care of a lot of race teams and do some really, really good stuff. So we'll continue that conversation about the NASCAR stuff, but we kind of alluded to it a while ago. Man, a very sad situation right there at Southern Raceway in Florida. You never want to lose a racer. Anyway, whether it's on the track or off, and that was another one of those things to where, as more has come out about that with that situation, apparently James Fox, it was a medical situation that he had while he's in the car. And there's a small part of me that's thinking, well, he's doing what he loved. But man, that's lots of thoughts to those folks over there, because it's going to be a lot for them to overcome. So we are obviously thinking about all of that after that tragic news over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely not the news you wanted to wake up to there on Sunday morning, because we've got a lot of friends down in Florida and Alabama and all that down in the Southeast, and that was shared a lot because it was a big story. Luckily, the news down there didn't blow it out of proportion into something that it couldn't have been, taking it in a different direction of public opinion, where it could have got blown out of proportion. It seemed like it was pretty nipped in the bud pretty quick, that it was indeed a medical deal, not an on-track incident that ended up being the cause of that. So I think the local media did a pretty good job of checking the facts before they just went all out and started reporting on nonsense when it comes to having accidents and deaths at a racetrack.
Yeah, I saw a report today. It was one of the I don't know what TV outlet it was down there, but or over there, and it was. The reporter prefaced the whole report about it was a medical situation that caused the passing, and it was apparently he was still in the medical situation when the responders arrived. So that's even tougher. Cotton Bowl, and speaking of that kind of situation, because it did involve a catch fence, we can talk here before Flyin Ryan Colby joins us. Cotton Bowl Speedway had a very scary situation that kind of ended the race night. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But Cotton Bowl is racing again this weekend. It is August 17th. Here's a little preview of what you got this weekend at CBS.
August the 17th, gates open at 5 o'clock, racing starts at 7. You don't want to miss it. All sorts of great racing action. Plus, it's the return of the high-flying, fast-moving Southern United Sprint cars. Come on out early, meet the drivers, take pictures. We got food, we got drinks, we got snow cones. We've got racing action. Who's going to make it to the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lane? Let's find out together this Saturday night, August 17th. Cotton Bowl Speedway. Who's it going to be? Green flag, green light. Let's go racing.
There it is. Coming up on August the 17th. It is this Saturday night, which is a loaded weekend of racing. But Cotton Bowl Speedway going at it once again. Man, I really wanted to see the limited modifieds settle that summer showdown. To Johnny Torres. Yeah, there you go. Johnny Torres with the factory stocks. But that's scary, man. That was scary seeing that car up in the catch fence.
Yeah, but it's crazy. He started Tom Growth. You started working on that car the next morning.
Tell you.
Started tearing it apart and said, "Let's go racing again." So he's an old school grizzled veteran. He'd been around a long time. Probably he used to run the late models there at San Antonio, and I imagine he tried to knock the wall down there at San Antonio a time or two. So ended up in a catch fence. He's like, that ain't nothing compared to the old iron walls there at San Antonio Speedway.
It's one of those situations. I was actually watching that on Saturday night because I was home on Saturday night. And as that happens, and I see the car that's all stuck in the fence, and they said it was Tommy Grothuse. I'm like, oh, he's all right, And it's not to make light of the situation we were just talking about, but it's like, oh, he's fine. I don't know what happened right there, but the fact right there, what you're talking about, that they were back to work on that thing and getting back to it and putting everything together. That's really cool. Thank you, Wesley, for mentioning this. This is a big one coming up. Boom, right there on the 17th. man, you got the Junior Limited Nationals coming up at Rocket on the 17th as well. So another that's going to be happening right there. And that's something up here. I guess we'll call it South, Central, and North with the limited modifieds versus E-mods and all that. And that's where we get back to that conversation. And that's where, when you kind of look at that part, it's like the Junior Limiteds here, again, with Waco and up that way. That's that is a really strong class, and I really like that class as a proving ground, like the E-mods. Did you notice when Nathan was talking, and you can go back and listen to the replay, when Nathan was talking about the E-mods, he's like, well, it's supposed to be. I got that little bit in there, and I'm like, yeah, of course. But
he mentioned it as an economy class, right? That's how you can tell he's been around certain promoters, by calling it an economy class. Of course, that's what the E in E-mod stands for. So
yeah, yep. Miss Joyce, I'll come see you. I will absolutely come see you once we get kind of let this thing calm down. Let's get through the season and get into the bigger things. And the cool thing about it is, when I come, I'll sit in the stands with you, and you and I, we can record your videos, and Joyce and I can comment on the races and do that together. It'll be the unscripted. No, don't be going to the races doing Facebook Live. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We've got really good streamers that do a damn good job of doing that to help the racetracks out.
Remember when they used to say no Facebook Live, they kick you out of the grandstands, man, back in the day? Yeah. Streaming has come a long way, and so have racetracks' idea of what happens with streaming services. That's come a long way. So it's part of it now. I mean, it's almost like, look at what Berlin did. Berlin brings in their own TV crew to do the weekly races, because you can hear the announcer in the background. That's the PA guy for Berlin over there. Jeff Striegel has it going on over there. Mm-hmm. And so, and you also notice that Striegel's one of the only guys that the track goes first, not TV, not radio. That the track goes first, where normally it's the opposite side around, where TV always goes first. So definitely, they got a good deal going up there. That was a hell of a race up there at Berlin coming up a couple of days ago. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun. And once again, it is who else? Bubba Pollard doing it right there. So that and again, I'm super excited. One of the things that I'm looking forward to this week, and I say this week because I'm really curious to see, talking about Berlin and these other tracks that race during the week, I'm really curious to see how the experiment goes at I-37. And I call it an experiment because it really is. I mean, Ray and them, the fact that they're doing hump day racing coming up on Wednesday, that's I mean, it's either going to be a massive success or they're going to lose their ass. I don't know which one it's going to be. Let me tell you something. I was looking at something today, Bobby. It's $10. It's $10 to get in there. There's a cooler charge. I mean, I get all that, but I applaud them for trying this, because it's really frustrating when you watch Berlin last week, and I'm like, the place is full, and it's like good for them. But it's like, damn, that sucks, around here. We're doing good to do that on Saturday.
Yeah, well, a lot of the midweek races, a lot of the ASA Star races are all midweek races. So they find a way to pack the stands, on midweek races. I mean, look at what High Limit does. Midweek races, they have a special series within a series, High Limit midweek money races, right? Yep. So there's a market for it if it's done right. And we'll see what our I-37 has done. They've done a pretty good job promoting it within the social media realms that we follow. So sometimes I think that to do the first one, you're going to kind of need to preach to the choir to get the choir to come out. Then you have to worry about, your hope is your choir comes out on Wednesday, and then all your regular people come out on the next race out. So that's one way to look at it. So.
Yeah. And I like what they're doing. I mean, it's not one of those things to where it's like, again, I mean, a problem that we have, I guess we call it a problem. We have a lot of classes. There are a lot of classes. And I think that that's one of the things that, as we sit here and watch, I like that 37 is not trying to run 7 or 8 damn classes on a Wednesday night. I think they have everything in order to where that's going to work really well. I actually think it's, I mean, I don't mean to sound surprised. I think it's going to work out really well for them. I think it's going to work out really well.
I think it's got the potential. You got 2 classes, limited modifieds and factory stocks. That's the 2 most populous classes they have down there. Because I don't think you can run late models midweek because they're so expensive to run.
Yeah.
But I think you got the right mix. Maybe throw in a fireball class next time out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe run fireballs and limiteds, or I mean, pretty much every track that turns on the lights and sets the track up is going to have a factory stock race. So, and it's a good way to go because some of those guys are going to go up to the King of the Hill.
Yeah.
So that's running that midweek. Some of those guys may be testing out a new engine, running out the engine bugs, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to try to work out the kinks and not get tore up. But I mean, that's the chance you take if you run midweek versus running that big show next week. You got just as many chances to get tore up on Wednesday as you do on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at King of the Hill.
Yep, that's exactly right. Well, we had Ryan there for a second, but we'll get him back on. I think he just checked back in. Probably going to be audio only as well. Speaking of dirt late models and speaking of big shows, super excited this week. Obviously, Houston back on track. Houston will be racing this weekend with modifieds. It's going to be a big modified show that's going to be coming up there. Modifieds making their way back after the last time out, and man, we are very excited at HMP. We've got one of the great wheelmen there from the Gulf Coast. Dirt track guy, another one of these dirt track guys that's going to come in and jump in a fast modified. It is my buddy Flyin Ryan Colby. Flyin, how we doing, brother? I guess he's good. One more.
Can you hear me?
We got you now. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I was wondering if you could hear me. My service is horrible.
Got you loud and clear, man. Got you loud and clear.
Okay. Cool.
You guys avoid the weather? I was wondering what you did. Oh no, I talk about this past weekend. I heard you went out in an older late model and kicked everybody's ass.
Oh yeah, I went back home this week and jumped in one of my buddy's cars and raced just a local small short deal. It wasn't enough time or nothing, but yeah, I hadn't been in a car in a week, so it was nice getting back for sure.
Absolutely.
So Ryan, talk about the competition level over there in Mississippi. Some people think it's just Mississippi mud down there, but you guys put on some pretty damn good racing, a lot of competitive racing, especially in those late models down there.
Yeah, like competition, I feel like it's tough everywhere, honestly, nowadays. Like, it's all about the money. So the guys that are spending the money, they're just as competitive as you are, really. It kind of just comes down to knowing your stuff a little bit more than the other guy, like knowing the racetrack or knowing your. I think that's what it comes down to in the end, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ryan, so kind of talk about the transition over for you, running pro late models in Pensacola and so forth. You've been to Mobile. Kind of talk about some of the differences right there and how that adapting.
You're cutting out a little bit, but did you say like the asphalt to the dirt difference?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
dude, it's huge, honestly. Dirt, like you can kind of just throw laps together like that. Like it's not really about. I mean, it is somewhat about hitting the same mark every time, but it's dirt. It's going to be different every time. It's not. I don't know. I feel like you have to adapt a little bit. But like on asphalt, I feel like if you don't hit that same mark every time, then like you're going to be slow. So like that's been the hugest deal for me is trying to just hit the same lap over and over and over and not trying to hit or pick the fuel up too soon. It's just small stuff like that in the seat. It's hard to, I don't know the word for it. I guess it's hard to, I don't know. It's just hard to put the same consistent lap down every time and not try to push it too hard. Cause like asphalt, what's been getting me in trouble is just pushing it too hard, like driving it way too hard. And it's not all about that. So like, yeah, I can say honestly, it's super tough.
Yep.
So Ryan, how'd you get hooked up with the rides you got coming up here and at the H&P Oval this weekend? I mean, I know who it's with, but that's a connection. I wouldn't picture you, the Mississippi connection with our buddy that you're going to be running with there. How'd that whole deal work out, and who you're running for this weekend?
Man, honestly, none of the asphalt stuff would even be a thing if it wasn't for Benny Hopkins at Roger Dabbs. They have been huge for me. Like, Roger Dabbs has pretty much put all this deal together, and Benny has. And if it wasn't for him, none of the asphalt would happen. So yeah, I'm racing for Roger Dabbs. And if anybody out there needs a crate motor, any kind of GM performance part from any kind of motor, LS, all the LSs, crate motors, the 525, they got like Circle Track series and drag race series motors. Like, there's all kind of stuff that I feel like people don't even know about. So, like, if you're in, like, the market for a motor, just part that you could even think of, I advise you to call Roger Dabbs, because, like, they're doing huge things for everybody, not just me. Like, they're doing stuff for the whole motorsports deal, like asphalt, dirt, they're all for it and helping. So, like, anybody needs a motor or anything, definitely get with Roger Dabbs today for sure.
So Ryan, kind of to what Bobby was talking about right there, you're going to be driving for Max Calles in one of the MCM development drive cars, and I talked to Max today. You're going to be in his car. You're going to be in the 140. So that son of a gun right there is a fast moving one. Any thoughts so far? I know you've been pro late model to this point. Any thought on these high horsepower, very skinny tire cars? I think this is going to fit you a lot better than what you've been doing before, because these have horsepower. I know you and I have talked, and you get kind of, when you push the pedal on a pro, it don't want to go. These go.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like you said, I feel like it fits my style a little more. And I don't know, asphalt is just super different, but like the out of control type, like, I can ride in it a car than like racing a go-kart. Like, it's like the pro stuff's kind of like racing go-karts, like follow the leader, just be perfect every lap. And like this asphalt, the modified deal, I feel like it's a little wilder. Like, it's bigger motor, like you said, small tires. So like, you got to kind of get up on the wheel and let it get a little crazy on you and just control it. And that's kind of my style. So like, I'm super pumped about it. Honestly, I've been watching videos back to back, like, of modified races at Houston. I didn't know it was so little, man. That place is tiny.
Yes, sir. Not a half mile. Not quite a half mile.
Yeah.
That's right. It'll feel bigger when you're on it, dude.
Huh?
Houston will feel a little bit bigger and faster once you're on there. So don't let the sides of the track fool you. Those cars will boogie down that front and back straightaways. So you'll pinch the seat going into turn 3 if you got it set up just about right.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm super thankful for Benny and Roger and Max for just allowing me to do this deal and putting this together. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. And I'm super, super, super pumped about it for sure. Rodney, you going to be out there or no?
Yes, sir. I'll be on the call. And I wanted to tell you, one of the things that's going to be really cool about this, and I hope you guys are staying at the Holiday Inn afterwards. But one of the things that's going to be really cool is we have a guy that is same thing like you. I mean, he's an ace on the dirt. He's moved over to the pavement, and I believe he's going to be out there as well in a really good car. So I think it's going to be a couple of dirt guys that are going to steal the show. So be ready, because you guys y'all are going to have one hell of a time out there.
Heck yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really not sure where we're staying. Miss Gina, she handled all that and has all that covered for us. So got to give a big shout out to her too. Like, she is behind the scenes. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this still happen, and I can't thank them all enough, and especially her for sure. But yeah, I can't wait to see you and shoot stuff about just, racing in general.
That's right.
That'll be fun. Gina probably booked you at the Holiday Inn, if I had to guess. I'm pretty positive she booked you
Okay.
to Holiday Inn. There's usually a parking lot party in the back that lasts till about 3 in the morning. So you might be a little red-eyed and tired going back to Mississippi, but you have a good time at the Holiday Inn. We'll show you the Texas hospitality for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. As long as I can perform in the race car, I'm sure I'll have fun with it, no doubt. I'm just
Yep.
super competitive, so like if it's not really going my way, it won't be the best time of my life. But
Yep.
hopefully, I'm pretty competitive in it and can get rolling in it pretty quick. I'll be super happy if I can, for sure.
You are in one of the best pieces that you're going to find. I guarantee you're going to love that race car. So Ryan, what else? Once you get this done, I know, like you said, it's kind of been a little bit there with the team change that you had in the dirt late model. What else do you have planned for the rest of the year for Flyin Ryan Colby?
The next week is Pensacola Mobile. I'm not sure that I'll be racing in that one, in either one of those, but I'll probably be supporting one of my teammates, Grant Thompson, in that deal, hoping he does good in that deal or whatever. But the week after that, I still got the All-American 60. I don't know if you're planning on coming to that or not again, but that would be cool. All-American 60. Then we got the Gumbos, just the big races, Fall Classic. Yeah, so like I still have a handful of races until the Snowball Derby. Hopefully I'll do the Snowball Derby, and I think I have another Alan Turner race too in September at Pensacola. So yeah, the year's full, but not quite as full as I want it to be. Like if I had it my way, I'd be racing every weekend. You know that.
That's right. That's right. Every day if you could. Every day if you could. All right, Ryan. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Come on down to Texas. Let's have a good time. And I know you're gonna love that car. I promise you.
Heck yeah, man. Like I said, I'm super looking forward to it. But yeah, come find me and say hello for sure, or I'll do the same. I'll come find you and make sure I say hello.
You got it, brother. We'll see you this weekend.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. There he goes, Flyin Ryan Colby. That guy's really good. The Jared Maupin comparison right there, it's kind of the Jared Maupin right there of Mississippi. This is going to be, and I reached out to Jared before the show today, and I'm like, are you going to race this weekend? Are you racing the modified? He said, hopefully, if work allows, I'll be in that car. And I truly believe. And the next call was to Max. What car is Colby driving? Mi carro. El 148. I'm like, uh-oh. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing those guys mix it up.
Yeah, Max will bring another 6 or 7 race cars to the track again for sure. But there goes Max. Max always trying to give somebody the opportunity. He's gonna put he didn't put just anybody in cars. He tries to put really decent drivers with a lot of talent they're only lacking one thing, and it's not talent ability. Sometimes it's not money. They're lacking opportunities, and that's what Max does at MCM Racing Development, is gives opportunities to different race car drivers. That sounds something like Ryan's got a chance to do this weekend pretty good.
I really think this is something with Ryan, having, like he talked about, I've been to a couple of different races that he's been in, in the dirt late model, and talking to him at Snowball last year was really, we got a lot of time to really sit down and talk about things, because remember we had the rain delay. So there was an RDC gathering that we went to, and I'm like, Ryan, so what do you think of this car? And he's like, man, I'm at the pedal and it just doesn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, one of those things in a pro where I think with this, with a modified, this is going to be something that's going to fit him much better. And I think it's kind of the same thing that we've talked to Jared, where it's like with a truck, it's like, and it doesn't whatever. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. You guys, we talked about it a while ago, and we'll talk about it more here later after we talk to Cord Beard. No doubt about it. Here it is, the King of the Hill. You're going to have 150 some odd cars that are going to show up at Boot Hill. I don't think weather's going to be an issue this time. $10,000 to win, $500 to start, Bobby. This is when we talk about the factory stocks, and you guys can drop in the chat, or you guys can hit the text line. I'll throw that number up. To pick a winner in this, I mean, you're gonna have about 15, that are going to be the ones that are going to get all the run. But dude, this is the baddest ass one of them all that we're going to find in this region when it comes to factory stocks.
Yeah, this is the king. I mean, this is no pun intended. This is
Oh,
the king of the races, the king of the hill at Boot Hill. The only thing that gets me this year, and I don't know if it was this way last year, the USRA sanctioned factory stocks. I don't know if that was the case last year. Not that it's going to matter. The differences are minute little differences between your regular everyday class factory stocks versus some of the USRA factory stocks. But I think that's the only change is that it's USRA factory stock sanctioned, but it's not going to matter. Like you said, there's still going to be 115, 120 cars.
Yeah, what I don't know,
And that's just with factory stocks. That's not including the B mods and the pro mods.
yeah, and what I don't know is and I think I saw it somewhere. So somebody will have to tell me. I don't know what the tire thing is going to be with this, because that's where this class has gotten to, and I think moving forward to where that's really going to be something that's going to be pretty important with the factory stocks, is because now the tires are a whole different issue, because I mean, whatever tires run out with the asphalt pull-offs and all of that. So I think maybe that's where USRA will be a little different. But the whole thing is Justin's putting this race on, so it's going to be something that's going to be really, really fair to the racer, and that's where you get a big race like this. And this is where you look at something with everything on the line with this, the prestige and the money that's on the line, and you're taking a car home in a bucket of bolts once it gets tore down. This is where you're glad that you have a racer that's actually putting this one on, because it's going to be run just as what's the word I'm looking for? Just as fair as possible, I think, in one of these things.
Yeah, and this is one of those races. This is like going to the snowball derby to a certain extent when Ricky Brooks was teching.
Absolutely.
You know damn good and well that your car better be legit, because they are literally going to tear it down to the frame. They're going to tear your motor apart down to the block. They are going to tear it down. They're going to tear your car down to the bare bone shocks. Like you said, it's going to come back. Your car is going to come back in a bucket and some cardboard boxes with just a frame sitting behind you. So it's it'll cost you more than $10,000 to get your car back together after winning the King of the Hill. But damn, it's a hell of a race to win, especially when you think about the competition level that's going to be there this weekend.
Oh, man. And I know last week it was kind of touched on a couple of different times. Dalton Faulkner kind of seems to be the one that's getting the love, at least on this show. I know there's other shows that will probably dig deeper into this race. I'm sure they will now into this race. But this really is one to where you go back, and this is one where if you make the field, if you make the show, whether you lose money, whether you make money, whatever's happened, it's Snowball, it's Chili Bowl, it's the 100, it's all these different All-American 400s. Doesn't matter the discipline of the racetrack. This is one where if you can get into the show, you've accomplished something, because it is the best of the best.
Yeah, it's a hell of a show to get into, but damn, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be a really good time. It's gonna be a really good time. Speaking of really good time, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and again, our show presented by On Demand Shirts, audio-visual consultations, Generation Race Cars. We'll talk about them. Still going down that NASCAR discussion a little bit later on. All of your comments and everything more than welcome to Bobby and I. And of course, we will talk more about the King of the Hill. We'd love your predictions with all of that. But one of the things that we were really excited to see a couple of weeks ago was we understand, that things change in racing and racing promotions and everything. By the way, lifting up our man Owen Pittman, really big day for him tomorrow. And if you're one that goes to people to give good thoughts, you need to give Owen Pittman some good thoughts, because he's got a really big day tomorrow. But Texana Raceway Park rolls on, and we welcome in, and we got him on video. That's the best part. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to put a face to the name. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen him before and you thought he was just a dude out there racing, it is the owner of Texana Raceway Park, the great Cord Beard. Cord, how's everything in Flag City, USA, my man?
It's good, man. Hot and just hot and hot. Hot and wet. We've been getting lots of rain down here, but it's good.
Cord, before we dive into everything, just talk about, for folks that haven't been to TRP this year, Talk about the improvements. I think that that's one of the most impressive things. I haven't been there this year. I've only seen pictures, and of course, Bobby's been in person, and he shares stuff with me. Talk about all the infrastructure changes that you guys have made out there.
This year alone, we had the tornado tore down the old press box, so we really didn't have a choice. We had to get rid of it. It didn't tear it down, but it did enough damage to it to just go ahead and part ways with it. And so we went ahead and finished it off and tore it down and built a new press box and tore down the spectator restrooms and built a new restroom there with air conditioning and all that, and try to provide a good, nice restroom for all the fans that come watch races, and clean restroom and baby changing tables and all that good stuff. Updated PA system for everybody to be able to hear better and all that. And man, that's really about, well, we did, and we upgraded the fence on the front straightaway this year. Took down that old fence that was getting out of date and about to fall down, and put a new fence up, new flag stand and stuff as well.
Nice.
Well, obviously, Cord, I'm partial to Texana because it's one of my favorite racetracks, and I have a damn good time when I go down there. And to put it lightly, the improvements are top notch. That facility was nice before, but the effort that your staff and yourself put in there, like Rodney said, he hadn't been down there this year. If there's a couple of races that you get a chance to go down there for the rest of the season, so it's a chance to see all the work you put into that place. Plus, you've got a little bit of work done on the drain, or going to work on the drainage stuff on the backstretch, so that'll make that place even better when we get another monsoon down there in Southeast Texas.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I actually got to meet one of the landowners in the morning over that deal, and hopefully we can get that ditch dug and get those drainage problems behind us.
There you go. So, Cord, let's break it all down right there. Obviously, the change with just kind of the whole management thing there. It is your racetrack. Kind of talk about what's coming up. You've got 2 races to finish this thing out that are scheduled at this point. But I think the main thing why we wanted to talk to you is to reassure folks that Texana Raceway Park is alive and well.
Right. I think there was a lot of people worried that Texana was going to close down, and I'm not in it for the money, because most people wouldn't be making these kind of upgrades to a facility like this, because obviously dirt track racing don't make that kind of money. But I've went to this place since I was a little kid, and it's in my hometown, born and raised here, still live here. And I'm trying to keep Texana alive for not only myself and the local folks, but all the people that call this racetrack their home track. And we Owen and I we made a decision to part ways between us. He's got a lot of other things going on, and just really didn't have time for Texana and his health issues he's got going on. And we've got several folks interested in leasing the track for next year, but I didn't want to close it down completely for this year. So we try to put together 2 races with myself and the help of a good friend of mine, Monty. He's behind the scenes doing pretty well all the work. I'm tied up with everything that I got going on in my normal life, and trying to keep just these last 2 races have a little something to end the season off with these guys that are dedicated to us and love coming to Texana, and hopefully we can make a good showing for the racers and the fans.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I know Monty reached out to me on your behalf right in the beginning, and like I said, unfortunately, I can't make it on the 7th due to a previous commitment, but I will be there for you guys. God willing, and the creek don't rise there on October 5th. That should be a chance to be a real good one. Only competition that be out there from the local stuff is going to be is the 600 there at 105. But I think that it's a different market for that race. So definitely a lot of cool stuff going to be happening there. Good opportunity for Texana to rise and shine again and show people what it's all about. We talk to different racers on here all the time, and they love Texana. They love the facility. They love the racing. And so I think that it's, the fact that you guys are able to put together just a handful of races to end the season on a high note, I think is really good.
Yes, sir. I hope that's our plan. We hope for that. And the 600, like you said, it's just a kind of a track's a different. There's some redundancy there that we may miss a few guys here, and they may miss a few guys over there, but for the most part, it kind of attracts a different crowd, and I don't think we'll affect one another very, very bad, if at all.
Cord, talk about that part right there, because I think that's one of the most important things that people need to understand. For you, the place Texana holds such a special, like you said. I mean, you grew up going there, and I think that that's really what drives a lot of us to want to make these racetracks work. And depending what facet that we're in. I mean, when you lose one of these things, I mean, it really sucks. I mean, it's heartbreaking, and you do. I mean, you have diehard supporters that have either, we were talking to Nathan Titzman a while ago, with all the family tree, with all of them. These places are so important, I think, to so many people. And the fact that Texana will continue moving forward, I think is just great news.
Yeah, I agree. It's and unfortunately, when one closes, it don't seem like there's ever an opportunity for them to reopen. It's people just, there's expansion in cities and stuff that are consuming most of these racetracks, and when they close and somebody offers big money, they're just, demolished and turned into something else. And that really sucks for the dirt track community, but it is, it almost seems inevitable for a lot of these. Hopefully that that's not in my plans with Texana. So hopefully we can keep this deal rolling with God willing and the support of all the racers as well, and keep this deal going. And like we've said in the past, and I put out there in the post that we put out after the announcement of Owen and I's parting ways, is I don't have any desire to run a racetrack. I've got plenty of gray hairs that come with my day to day, and the racing is my hobby, and I don't want to go out there and even deal with the normal Saturday racetrack. Whatever you want to call it. Bullshit. There you go. I got way bigger fish to fry than to deal with that on a Saturday night, and I'm there to have fun and not deal with that. And so with that, I've got plans. We've been talking to a couple different parties there that are interested in leasing the place, and I don't want to be bouncing promoters year to year, so it's we're gonna sit down and do a kind of a formal interview and see who's the best fit for the longevity of the track, and try to move forward with that, and get her rolling, and work with the other local tracks. So it's a try not to have schedules overlap the best we can. And it's inevitable when you have South Texas Race Ranch and I-37 and Cotton Bowl and ourselves all real close together like this, and Heart of Texas, even for that fact, 105. You're going to have schedule overlaps, but we try to see if we can't make it work to where it's in everybody's best interest.
Sure.
So, Court, talk about the relationship the track has with the city of Edna and Jackson County. Obviously, we see the sheriff's office and law enforcement out there on Saturday nights, but talk about the relationship. Obviously, you've got the intimate knowledge because you lived there forever, your whole life. But how intertwined is the racetrack in there within the city of Edna and within Jackson County as a whole?
Man, we try to, and I say we as in, my day-to-day business, Magnum Services, along with the racetrack and everything. We try to reach out, support, and do things for the community and for the youth. And we hold some youth Christian events and different little things out there at the racetrack throughout the year. So we try to support the community, and at the same time, in hopes they support us as well on Saturday nights. And obviously, there's a lot of people that don't like the loud ass noise in their backyard, but it's just part of dirt track racing and straight headers and straight manifolds. That's just going to be what it is. But luckily, we're out of the city limits and don't have noise ordinances and stuff. So for the most part, most people understand. But your close neighbors, they don't understand as well. But for the most part, city of Edna and Jackson County, they all support us, and they like what we're doing, and it seems like we're drawing more and more of the, I guess, not typical racing fans out of the woodworks and getting them out to the track and getting them out and come checking it out. And a lot of them are falling in love. A lot of them don't come back. I mean, it's just, you win some, you lose some. It's just part of it.
I've always kind of thought there with Texana, that's one of the things that I love about it. It's a small town racetrack. I mean, with Edna, I mean, you can pull from, whether it be Gonzales, Cuero, Victoria, not that Victoria's small, but you can pull from all those spots. I just think the location is great. And that part too, to where it's isolated. And that's what dooms a lot of these tracks, is the noise stuff, where shit gets built where the track was before. Let's talk about September 7th. I mean, obviously this looks like it's you got a big one here for the Hobby Sox. And I know that Tony will have his cars out. Kind of talk about that one. $750 to win for the Hobby Sox coming out. You're doing kids rides. The dwarf cars are going to be in town. I think this is a really good way to kind of get your feet back on the ground and get this thing rolling again.
Yeah, I agree. They had Monty and Tony and all of that group had kind of promoted that auctioned off, or whatever, the waffle, whatever you call that deal, the rides. Yeah. It's been several months back. Several races got canceled in that, and I believe they're going to continue that deal for this race. I believe, don't mark my words on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the plan, to get that deal going on this deal. So we try to kind of pick up where that deal left off and get this hobby stock race promoted. And then hopefully for the October 5th, we're going to do the same, but for the factory stock. So everybody gets a little bit of the action. Obviously we're not giving the open wheel cars a lot, but I say a lot of attention. They get, they're going to get their normal attention. We're trying to do something for everybody here. Just the hobby stock and the factory stock. We're going to try to finish it off with these two and try to have a good show for everybody.
I think that dwarf race has a chance to be the little powder puff race. Those are always very entertaining and have a unique vibe with them, especially with Rachel. We got to see her try to buzz around her field there for a little bit. She thought she was flying and watched the video, and she's like, "Yeah, I wasn't flying." Rodney's had some time in that 15 car too, so he knows that the speed in that dwarf car is a little deceiving. But I think that the track as a whole, like I said, I'm with Rodney. Where the good news is that there's hope for the future, and that you're looking for the long-term hope of the future. Any idea when you'll make that decision about what may happen there in 2025 and beyond?
I'm hoping that we can sit down and there's two really interested parties. One of them I don't think is as interested. Sit down and meet with these guys, and I don't want to put no too early of announcements out without it's actually having something nailed in stone and get people excited over something what it ain't. But I'm hoping we can have an agreement made very soon, like before the end of races or before the end of the second race. So that way we can get rules out, whatever the new leases are going to have up their sleeve, they can get those out so guys can start working on that during the off season, have plenty of time to do so, whatever their plans may be. So it's both have some pretty exciting ideas. It's just a matter of who we come up with. It's, I guess, best fitting for the track.
Yeah. Yep. And Cord, so the other part about that, kind of talk about for folks that may want to, if you're going to have a new regime in place right there, talk about folks that if they want to reach out to you guys. I guess it may depend on who's going to operate whatever with promoters, but folks want to be a part of Texana, if they want to invest, if they want to be a sponsor, if they want to do something right there, because I think it really is. I always call that place a hidden jewel because it's kind of sitting there like I was talking about, and the work that you have done there, it's always a great show. Folks want to be a part of this. How do they do that at this point?
So I would say for these last two races, any help that would be anybody that wanted to help do anything, just reach out to myself. But for next year, just hold on tight, and then as soon as we can make the announcement of who the promotions will be, turn it over to them, and they can help promote that show, the season and everything that comes with next year. But for the most part, I'm just trying to help finish off the year and give the racers and the fans two good races to finish off the year with, and have something to remember Texana by. And then we start off clean next year. And as far as sponsorships go, we'll hope to make those announcements, I would say, before November. And so by the end of October, I would hope we have those announcements out, and then they could reach out to whichever party it is and try to get that ball rolling. And I'll try to help those guys as well. And if the people need to get in contact with me, I'll get them in contact with new promoters and get the deal rolling so we can get it all started off on the right foot.
Oh yeah.
Well, now I know for one, and I speak for myself on this one, I'm grateful that I got a chance to work down at Texana without knowing who the new promoters are in my future with the facility. I got to say, the hospitality that you showed and Owen showed me when I came back out of retirement to be the announcer down there, that was, I've had to have a lot of fun down there, and look forward to at least one more run in the sun there in the announcer booth. But, thanks for all you did for Texana. Thanks for all the stuff you've done for me over the last couple of years. So we wish you nothing but the best, man. Like, we want that track to succeed. Want everybody to have a good time down in Flag City, USA.
I appreciate it for sure. And I don't see either one of them making huge changes. They need everybody to, as far as workforces and everything, I think they're going to need everybody to help out. It takes the whole team to make the whole show work. You can't come making a whole heck of a lot of changes. It ain't gonna work the way. I mean, you need an announcer, you need a concession stand booth, you need a track worker, you need everybody. It takes everybody to make that show happen on Saturday night. So I'm sure that once the changes are made, those guys are going to reach out and probably have all or at least some of the same workers that we have working there currently. All the people that we have working the track pretty well are all local guys here. So
Yeah.
minus yourself, Bobby, you're an Austinite.
Yeah, I'm a little far away, but it's worth the drive every time, man.
I
That
appreciate
111, it's 111's pretty straight.
Especially
So all I have to worry about is a little bit, make sure that the deer and the raccoons don't come out in the middle of the night, on 111. But the sad part is I got to know more people. I started drinking a little bit more beer after the races, which is fun to start learning the names and start learning the drivers. But when you start leaving that place at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that's not a lot of fun coming home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just in general. But I'm not as young as I once was to be able to do that. But I have a hell of a lot of fun when I'm down there. Rodney knows that too. That's my racetrack, and that I tell everybody Texana is my racetrack, and I'm looking forward to a couple of big races and what's in store for 2025.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it for sure.
so
That's a good thing. At least on 111, they got that red light out of your way, Bobby, so you don't have to stop at that red light in the middle of the
Good.
night.
All right. That's
Yeah, they
better.
got that
Yeah.
bridge open back up.
I know.
Hell yeah.
I've flown through that a couple of times, but
I have to.
so Court, does this mean? I mean, because one of the things that I always thought that was really cool about you, I mean, I knew your position there, but you were Cord Beard number 44. I mean, people that didn't know, I mean, it was Cord Beard number 44. A lot of people didn't have an idea that you were in the position that you are. Do you get to race? I mean, do you actually get to enjoy these last 2 races, or are you stuck doing this other bullshit?
Man, when I kind of, I say when Monty reached out to me and was like, hey, I'll help you do whatever we need to do. And he was pretty adamant about saying, hey, whatever we got to do, we're behind the scenes. And if we ain't racing, we're not doing this. So that's what Monty's plans are. He's kind of been the mediator for all the track employees to make sure that everybody's got the hat on that they need to be wearing for those 2 nights, and to make sure that he and I can race and be behind the scenes and answer questions if they have any, but for the most part, be completely neutral and be race car drivers. And to be honest, that's where I want to be. That's I don't want to be answering any questions for the racetrack. That's but yeah, I'll do what I got to do to make these last 2 races and get this deal turned over to another set of guys and get it working. My plan is to be in a race car though.
That's good. That's good. September 7th, October 5th are the dates. Texana Raceway Park. Cord, keep doing it, man. Keep that track going, man. Super important. We need that thing around here. No pressure. But thank you for jumping on with us. I don't think, again, very glad that people know who you are now. So looking forward to it, and I'll come see you guys just as soon as possible.
Sounds good, man. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.
You got it, man.
Cord.
Y'all too. Later.
Later. There he goes, Cord Beard, and that was because he messaged me. He's like, so how's this thing work? With our thing. And I'm like, you don't have to do the video if you don't want. I mean, obviously, with Ryan, Colby, and Nathan, they couldn't do that tonight. But when he popped up on video, I'm like, man, people are going to actually know who he is. I mean, they'll put a name to the face. So really cool. And again, main thing is right there, that track gets to roll on, and it is. I mean, it's and I got to tell you, man, Owen and he were such a great team. I think a lot of this was, I've talked to different people to where it was, I think if you want to find a bad situation that produced something really good, and you've talked about it, Bobby, during COVID, that's when that tandem, what they did, holy shit, there was nowhere else to be on a Saturday night than Texana Raceway Park. That's what put that place over the top.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was rocking and rolling there in COVID. I mean, it was small town USA. It was the only thing to do, whether you were in Victoria, whether you were in Edna, even Houston. A lot of guys from Houston were coming over there. And then in 2021, you had the situation in Corpus where, some racers weren't happy with some of the stuff happening in the racing scene in Corpus. So they were coming over there. So it's, there for a couple of years, man. Texana was rocking and rolling, falling off a little bit. Obviously with some car count and some fan count, just as, normal scope of stuff does, it's not always an uphill battle. Sometimes, you get that even the stock market doesn't always go straight up. So it's, it became a little bit of a challenge, but man, I'm telling you that place, you're not going to believe that place when you get in there. That press box is super nice. I'm happy for my buddy there. Chris Workman's going to fill in for me on the September 7th. I'll be back in the saddle there on October 5th, so it'll be a good time to have at Texana. I'm happy that I'm sad we lost about 5 or 6 races, but I'm happy that we're at least ending with 2 to get a chance to kind of close out the season on a high note versus just cutting that season completely and basically by 2/3. because you had 3 or 4 rainouts in a row, and then you lost, a handful more after that. So it's good the racers will get a chance to kind of race a few more times.
Well, I think the main thing is just the fact that there are going to be events there, and I really hope this is a great opportunity to where we talk about all the time. With you don't have to go to the track. You don't have to go to the track anymore. I mean, and trust me, after this weekend that I was not at a track, to sit here and just flip around to different places and find racing, I mean, it was really pretty nice. But this is one of those opportunities to where I think with these last 2 races on the 7th of September and October 5th, where folks need to go to the racetrack, because the track needs a support. The track, I mean, Cord is very clear right there that they have a path in mind. There's going to be something moving forward, and that's great, and that's very good. But they need to see that support, and this is where we can go back and talk about, like, San Antonio, for example. You open the place back up. I mean, you can't even get in there. You had to turn people away. And by the time you had the 3rd race,
Nobody.
Nobody there. And that's what led to the ending of that. And I'm not speculating that that's what's going to happen right there, because this is where it's different with Cord, is that when we talk about leasing versus ownership, he's talking about leasing the place out. So, that's that part, but it's got to be something that's got to work for him and for whoever's going to take that mantle. And that's where I think with Owen, it's like with all the different places that he runs, it's like shit. And with Marianne and those folks out there, I mean, these leases aren't cheap. So you gotta support them. You gotta show up. And the other thing that he said that I think is powerful, and it's going to be something that these tracks are going to have to figure out down south. You have to figure out these dates, because when you're racing on top of each other, it makes it really, really hard. And again, there's only a certain amount of weekends. Shit, I mean, it gets hard. It gets hard.
It does. We talk about it at the beginning of every season, and even at the end of every season. When you have 4 tracks within that close proximity, it's a good problem to have that you have 4 tracks that you have options to race at. But the problem is the calendar's only got so many open dates on it. And they tried some of the Friday night stuff down at Texana. I don't think that ended up being the success that anybody thought it was going to be. And so, we tried the Friday night thing, and, now it's back to the Saturday. So I think that, as long, like you said, he's trying to find a promoter that'll be long-term, more than just 1 year in, 1 year out. And so, you gotta, what will year 1 be a building year? But depending on who the promoter is, probably will be a little bit of a building year. But, that track has been successful. You don't have to go in and reinvent the wheel at that place. It's not like when they had to completely reinvent the wheel at San Antonio to try to figure out what classes to run and what classes not to run, right? So I think that it becomes I think that you're blessed with the way that the track has already been in operation and shown, the successful formula to be successful down there. So I think that's that any promoter that kind of steps in will have a really good handle on what's happening up in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. And I totally get, because I've gotten emails and texts every time that I talk about with dates and everything. I've had promoters call me and they're like, well, that I have to race to make money, or to try to make money, or to try to sustain. I totally get that. And I'm not diminishing that. It's just the fact that what we have down here, and that's a weird thing about it, I think, where folks don't understand Texas when it comes to dirt track racing. It's like, let's think about the 4 tracks that we want to call South. You've got Cotton Bowl, which is way up here. I think, honestly, looking at it, it's more north. You've got that, you got 37, you got the Ranch, and then you got Texana. I mean, if you really look at that, if you look at the mileage apart from those places, I mean, it's like you go up north and you go to North Carolina, and you look at the asphalt tracks that are there. You lay out 4 racetracks right there. They may be within 150 miles of proximity to get to each other. The 4 places we just ripped off right there, they ain't 150 miles apart. And to be able to get there, the price of fuel, the price of tires, I don't care how you dress up a factory stock thing about tires, it's still expensive. And that's where it gets really hard. And I get the dates. I get it. You got to schedule them. I mean, but then the racers are in a tough spot, because it's like, where do I go? I mean, do I go to my home track, or do I go somewhere else? And it's not very often I feel sympathy for a racer, but I do at that point.
Now there's only so many racers to go around too. It's at a certain extent too. So you have some tracks that have their own unique ecosystem that they don't have a problem with car count and don't really have a problem with fan count because they've got diehards on both sides of the fence. You got other tracks that kind of, they need a little bit of help on one side or the other. If one side's good, a lot of times the other side is supposed to be good, but it's not always that way, right? Sometimes you see a really good fan count with really bad car count. Other times you see really good car count and a really bad fan count. So it's not always the case. And I'm not singling out any track down in South Texas or North Texas. I'm just saying in general, we've seen some of the ones, that they have a hell of a good racing show that you can watch on a streamer. But then you look up in the grandstands, it's like, damn, that place is empty. Hell, we saw it this weekend with the Cup race. Yeah. Pretty damn entertaining race, not just the finish. And Richmond, that place was not even a little more than half full.
And they're about to lose a race too.
Yeah, that second race is about to start speaking Spanish with you and Max.
Si se puede. That's right. Max and I are going to be the ambassadors, ASS being the capital letters in there, for that race. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. But yeah. I mean that's that whole part, and we can talk about that's something else I want to talk about. Also, we want to hear from our friends at On Demand Shirts. Do still want to talk a little bit more about that fence situation there at Cotton Bowl Speedway. Have a little bit of a thought on that. The NASCAR thing, we can dig back into that because surprised we're not getting more run on that. Maybe it's on Twitter. It may be the Twitter folks. I don't think they can comment. I'm sure we'll get emails and stuff about it later. But right quick, we were talking about On Demand Shirts. That is the official apparel providers of our little program and lots of really good drivers that race around these parts. Here's a word from our friends in San Antonio. It's On Demand Shirts.
Shirts and OnDemandShirts.com. Custom apparel and promo products for every occasion. Birthday parties, reunions, company apparel, school events, fundraisers, and more. Much more than T-shirts. It is On Demand Shirts. Check them out for your hoodies, shirts, koozies, and so many different products. On Demand Shirts and OnDemandShirts.com. A leading innovator in apparel throughout the racing industry and in the state of Texas. On Demand Shirts. More than shirts. On Demand Shirts. August the 17th, gates open at 5 o'clock, racing starts at 7. You don't want to miss it. All sorts of great racing action. Plus, it's the return of the high-flying, fast-moving Southern United Sprint cars. Come on out early, meet the drivers, take pictures. We got food, we got drinks, we got snow cones. We've got racing action. Who's going to make it to the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lane? Let's find out together. This Saturday night, August 17th, Cotton Bowl Speedway. Who's it going to be? Green flag, green light. Let's go racing.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
That's right. Get that thing, and you can keep up with your favorite drivers. I mean, you go in there and you can type their name in, and it gives you all their stats. So really cool. My Race Pass app right there as well. On Demand Shirts, audio visual consultations as well. Big thanks to Tom McKay for outfitting my little room right here with all the cool stuff. And this was a great weekend for me. I mean, I had football, I had golf, and I had racing that was going on the screens here. So really cool stuff. With the Cotton Bowl thing, and again, our thoughts with the folks at Southern Raceway, because that was a kind of a catch fence thing as well. When I saw everything that happened right there, Bobby, this is where, we talk about it a lot, mostly to the fans, to where it's like, don't get on the fence. Don't get in the catwalk, that I like to call it. Don't stand there, because shit happens and it can get really bad. I have to tell you, The one thing that I thought about, and this is, I guess this is PTSD somewhat, is when I saw Tom Groth use cards sticking to the fence over there at Cotton Bowl Speedway, first thing I thought about was CTS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, God, I hope there was nobody. And I think that's where it's better at Cotton Bowl, and they had their signs up. I did see that. But, God, be aware what's going on, man. Because when one of those rockets comes through a fence, the fence ain't gonna hold him. It ain't gonna slow him down.
No,
it's coming through. It's coming through.
I mean, it's gonna hit there. I mean, that's part of it, right? And we've seen that a lot more here at Cotton Bowl the last couple of races. They had an outlaw hit the fence at one time right on the front stretch and bent the flag stand all up, and saw another car try to knock down the wall in the back stretch there a little bit with the World of Outlaws, and then you see, Tommy hitting the fence there in turns 1 and 2. So it's we say it all the time, tell people keep your ass away from the fence. You see people out there trying to stick their hands through the fence, trying to get a up close personal look at the race cars. It's like, come a little early for that. Stay a little late for that.
Yeah.
You'll get an up close personal look at a race car. You'll be able to probably sit in one if you ask somebody. No reason to sit out there and stick your hand through the fence while they're racing.
Yeah, that's where you totally have to be aware of what's going on, because everything happens so fast. And the main thing is I didn't realize, I had no idea, because just from everything that I saw on the stream, as that car was sitting in the fence, it was pretty obvious what had happened right there. But when I saw some of the pictures from the backside and some of the videos from the backside, I didn't realize how, and again, I don't know what happened right there. I don't know if Tom's throttle stuck. I don't know what happened there, but the velocity that car went through the fence, it ripped. That's like 3 sections, it looks like, that came down on that thing. And that's a very well-constructed fence. I can tell you that, that's a new racetrack. That's a newer racetrack. And it shredded that thing. It just ripped it to shit.
That's why Cord spent all that money to put up a new fence there at Texana on the front stretch, with the new catch fence, because he, said the other one was a little rough and stuff like that. So it's, these catch fences are important. And I don't think that the promoters are not unaware of that, right? I think they all try to take pride in their catch fence just because of that. You can't have a car come buzzing through a fence and kill somebody. You just can't. That's not, you got to have a good fence. You got to have a good lookout, and you just can't let that happen.
Yeah. And the best example for us in Texas, especially in South Texas, is when you're driving down 35, you get to Yarrington, look over there, all those warehouses. Are they going to put a Buc-ee's over there? Is that where that's going to be?
Across the street next to Chuck Nash.
Across the street. Well, there you go. That warehouse space and all that once housed a really, really badass asphalt racetrack, and we had a situation like this, and it's gone. So pay attention. There's different ways to observe this stuff. Just don't let that happen. Be aware of the surroundings. Don't be all hammered in the pits. Just kind of do the right thing. So back to the NASCAR conversation. So what in your opinion, what should the penalty be? I doubt they're going to take the win away. I doubt they're going to sit him down. Probably going to fine him, take away some points, whatever. But like we were talking about in the opening, this is a no-win. If NASCAR doesn't do something pretty drastic here, BC, I think that they're going to look like clowns, because that was, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow, if it happens tomorrow.
I don't know. They're going to need to jump on this one sooner than later.
Yes.
Just because I think it'll be interesting to listen to Elton Sawyer tomorrow on Sirius XM Morning Drive, depending on, unless he came on today. I didn't get to listen to it this morning, so I would assume he's going to be on it as normal. One of the NASCAR officials will be on there. I think probably be real interesting between 12 and 2 tomorrow afternoon. I think our buddy Dave Moody is going to have a very, very busy show when it comes down to tomorrow afternoon. I don't think you can wait till Wednesday to make a ruling on this. I don't think they'll take the win away, because that's not in their DNA. They've only DQ'd somebody once and twice. That's when they DQ'd the two Joe Gibbs cars for the extra little stickers on the front. So I don't think they're going to take the win away, but I don't think the win is going to count towards the playoffs. That's what I think they're going to do. I think you're going to see a monetary fine by Joey Logano, but won't be near as much as the fine for the right rear hooking or the right rear hook on Denny Hamlin. And I think you see a few people get suspended over this deal too.
Yeah. I would hope. I mean, I hope that it's, I mean, again, you don't wish anything bad upon anybody, but I think this really is a time to where you have to put your foot down and assert yourself as the sanctioning organization, because that's the one question that has really come out of it from everything yesterday is people questioning the validity of what NASCAR actually does. You know, we talk about the NCAA in football, and it's like, you know, they come down and they're telling Jim Harbaugh he can't be involved for 4 years in football, and if he takes a job, he's going to be suspended for a year. Well, the dude's in the fucking NFL. You know, it's like, okay, where was this last year? You know, one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is where, if NASCAR doesn't come in here and oh man, this is where I really wish that and this is, I think we've touched on this. I think we actually talked about this on the last Revved Up ATX that we did on TSU, to where NASCAR is still a family-run organization, and that's where I think a lot of times that they hesitate to do different things, because if you look at the whole entire makeup of NASCAR, it's the same players all the time. It's Gibbs, it's Hendrick, it's there's not a lot of diversity. I mean, we see Trackhouse coming in and all these different things, and some of these other Spire, that are doing different things, but it's still kind of like the namesakes of the sport. You know what I mean? And I think that's where, I don't know. I'm hoping for something that tells me, damn, but I think you're right. I don't think I see anything that really blows me off the map.
Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, the problem is that the only team that doesn't think there was anything done wrong is the 3 team. Everybody else, I mean, even Tyler Reddick took a shot in the back of the shorts there at the 3 car when that race was over. They went down into turn 1 and he just planted him, knocked him right square in the ass end of that car. So, he got out of that car shaking his head. I mean, and everybody, like I said, the only people that don't think they did anything wrong was Austin Dillon. Everybody said the same thing. All the drivers said they probably would have done the bump and run in that same situation under the same circumstances if they needed a win to get into the playoff, needed a win to advance to the next round. They probably would have done a bump and run. But as I've said before, multiple times on this show, as I said last night, that was not a bump and run. A bump and run is an art form. A bump and run is not what Earnhardt did to Terry Labonte at Bristol. That was not a bump and run. So, say what you want to. I mean, I get it. Racing is somewhat of a contact sport. I get it. We don't have the flag football things on the side of the cars anymore to where you can just play bumper cars and stuff like that. But NASCAR has never had to draw a line in the sand like they're going to have to draw a line in the sand for this. Mm-hmm. This goes upon that line to where, Elton Soares said it best the other day. He says, we're going to look at all available resources and we're going to try to determine where that line was. If the line got crossed, we'll deal with it. If the line didn't get crossed, we'll deal with it that way too.
Yeah. Well, and I do. I mean, the bigger thing for me with this is, I mean, I get the driving it in deep, and I mean, if you want to get in the playoffs, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, we see it, and that was the other thing last night, to where it was like I saw a lot of folks a lot of short track folks, dirt and asphalt, that were like, "Oh my God, this was uncalled for." I'm like, "Have you seen what happens every week?" And
look what happened in Cordele for second place.
Exactly. This happens all the time. It's going to happen this weekend. I mean, and again, I'm not saying that it's going to happen here, even though I guess a while ago I said that it might. Don't forget, you've got the King of the Hill among other events that are going to be happening. $10,000 to win for the factory stocks. That's going to be a huge one going on at Boot Hill. But the one that I go back to, where this is going to be such a big pickle for NASCAR to deal with, you have already done something about a dude getting hooked. Denny Hamlin got hooked, whether you like him or not. He didn't hit the wall head on. He kept on going. He sideswiped it, or whatever the case. You have already penalized a guy, whether you like
most popular driver in the sport. They sat down for a week for popping Denny Hamlin in the right rear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've already done something with this. And now this is where, whether it's Richard Childress or Rick Hendrick, I don't give a shit who it is, I don't know, man. I'm curious to see. It's going to be outrage. I think this is seriously one of those situations to where whatever they do, it's going to be, I mean, unless they throw him out for, I don't think, maybe they throw him out. I don't know. Maybe they sit him for a week. Maybe
I
they
don't
sit
think
him.
so.
I don't think so either.
They're not going to sit him for a week. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think that's going to happen. The other part of it is what happens, because now, I mean, you go back and you look at this, and the one thing I was thinking about last night, Bobby, was, you know, Ross Chastain does what he does at Martinsville with the video game move or whatever you want to call that, and that move is outlawed. Who'd he hurt? I mean, maybe somebody standing against a fence like we talked about. Don't stand by the fence with concrete ripping up in your face. That move is outlawed, and they're still showing videos of that, how great that was. You can't take out a bump and run. You can't take out a guy from driving into the thing or whatever. I still think that the spotter is going to be the one, because I know they're going to deny it, but it's one of those things like a text. It's one of those things like these recordings that we do. Dude, they heard all that. It's how do they respond? How do they respond to that? So,
I mean, when the spotter says go low, wreck him.
Wreck him.
Yeah, that's, you know, can't say it, you know.
Yeah.
You just can't say it on the radio.
Yeah, and you can't misconstrue the words of it. You know, wreck him. What does that sound like? I don't know.
They're not talking about the halftime show at a Texas Tech Red Raider game. You know?
Yeah, exactly. They're not talking about those guys.
They're not talking about the defense at Texas A&M. You know, they meant wreck them. So,
well, and he did. So, again, and you applaud the guy, but you know, like Logano, I thought Logano yesterday, you know, where, you know, what do you say, praising God with his baby. That dude is pissed, as he should have been, as he should have been, and that just goes to show you right there how important this stuff is to these guys. And for NASCAR, like I said, the race kind of flew under the radar, and with the streaming stuff, and I saw something else that Denny said that I think. I think I sent you this email where he was talking about, you know, with Richmond, you know, that was one of the places that they would fill the place up.
Mhm.
And now they don't. Obviously, they're about to lose the race. We're going to Mexico, it seems like. That's scheduled to be determined. But one of the things that Denny said during the week was this place used to be full. Now people don't come. The grandstands are empty, the arena's empty, but you look at the TV ratings, and Richmond's always right there at the top of the top 5 markets. So that tells you how the sport has changed when it comes to that. I don't even know why I went there. I guess because I remembered that. But I mean, streaming, televising, all this different.
The beer is cheaper at home.
Sure as hell is, and it's a hell of a lot cooler. It's a hell of a lot cooler at home. I can tell you that. Man, this has been a great show tonight, talking about NASCAR, and we might have to, you guys need to like and subscribe our YouTube page, because we need that thing to grow. It's, you can go to revvedupsportshow.com on YouTube, like and subscribe. We're going to do a really better job of trying to get some short stuff up there. I can promise you, whenever we figure out, or whenever NASCAR figures out what's going to happen right here, there'll be a video there. We'll pop in, maybe do a King of the Hill thing. Just something. Like and subscribe that thing. Need that to 500 subscribers ASAFP. No real urgency there, but I just want that. So if you can do that, and you'll see Bobby and I on there, we're going to we'll get you better with some content during the week.
Yeah, once I start feeling a little better, I'll start doing a little more content, but won't sound real good when you sound like you're talking in a bucket. So
Yeah. We'll get all that figured out. But like and subscribe if you can. If you're checking in on Twitter, you can go to youtube.com. Just type in Revved Up Sports Show. It'll pop up there. Just like and subscribe that damn thing. Share it with people and tell them that it is #Real Race Talk. It's where you get stuff that's really raw, and we do it live, and we tell you things that other folks don't want to tell you.
Because we're the show that started it all, at least in these neck of the woods anyway.
At least we like to think so. At least we like to think so. There it is one more time. The biggest event that we have in the region, the King of the Hill. That's going to be going on at Boot Hill Speedway. You've got Houston Motorsports Park. That'll be in action as well this week with the modifieds on the show card, spectator racing, and, of course, Cotton Bowl Speedway with the Southern United Sprint cars. They will be off and rolling as well. Looks like it should be a pretty exciting race.
Living Legend Part 2 there at 105 with Howard Willis. So that should be a pretty good race across the road there from with our friends at 105.
That's right. Absolutely right. All right, BC, what you got rest of the week, man?
Just gonna get geared up and ready for Houston. Gonna get my in-depth interview ears on so I can help Karen make those really knockout videos there for the post-race press conferences. So
that's right.
We should probably play those on the big screen TV.
Big screen not going to be there this week.
Oh.
That's a bad thing. The big screen is actually going to be at the King of the Hill.
Oh.
So if you're going to the KOH over there, let me tell you something. If you haven't seen the big O screen, you guys that are going to be calling the race, I'm not sure who's on the call for this, if it's Zach or Colin or who it is, but guys, you're going to have a big ass screen sitting out, I would assume, in the middle of the racetrack that's going to be showcasing not only the feed right there from the stream, but that makes a big difference. That's going to be that's the perfect place for that big O screen right there. That damn race right there.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect place for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, you guys. Thank you for being a part of the program. Nathan Titzman, Flyin, Ryan Colby, heading in from Mississippi to race in the modifieds, and of course our man Cord Beard with Texana Raceway Park is Texana with 2 dates coming up, September 7th and October 5th. We'll do this again. We will recongregate here live on RevvedUpSportsShow.com and all the different Facebook pages and so forth next Monday. But like I said, hit that YouTube thing and check out some of the shorts, Bobby. We're gonna blow this thing.
Yeah. And be on the lookout. Maybe a few logistical changes to the show too. May still be on Monday, but you never know what time we may start.
Yeah, and that's actually a good thing. Kind of talking about timing. That's something that maybe we'll dig into, kind of try to, maybe we'll get a poll or something going up on some of the different places to try to figure out. We've talked to folks where 6 is good, 6:30, 7. I was talking to one dude. He's like 10 p.m. I'm like, this shit ain't going on live at 10 p.m. That is not happening. I got to be in bed at 10 p.m. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's late.
That's when you're solo, Bobby. You're on your own live because I can't do that. I got to put my CPAP on. Well, so do you.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
you just keep yours on way longer than I do.
That's right. That's right. All right, you guys, we'll do it again. It's hashtag Real Race Talk. This is the show that started it all. Like Bobby said, like we like to talk about, hashtag Real Race Talk. It is a Revved Up Sports Show. We're going to do it again next Monday. Keep an eye on the socials with that time. We'll figure out what we're doing. All right, you guys, have a great week. We gone. We'll see y'all next time.